So we've covered a lot of stuff together. We looked at deep Facebook, a whole bunch of different strategies, and then put together an architecture of that. We've looked at how to make your website more effective, and hopefully you have a clear plan of any gaps you've got in that space. Now I'm going to show you like really the other big traffic source, which is Google AdWords. And a lot of people have the perception that Google AdWords can be expensive, and you know what, it can be if you don't know how to tweak it and tune it. But if you know how to tweak it and tune it, it can just be an amazing lead machine, and that's what I want to show you how to do. Alrighty, cool. Let's get stuck into it. So let's start off with the essentials. So we're going to be talking about search part of Google. Google also has a display network, which is these, the banner ads all around the web. We're not going to be talking about that as much. We're really going to be mainly focusing on search, but we'll get into some display a little bit down the track. Okay, so Google AdWords is where your ads show at the top and on the right-hand side of Google. Is anyone here who is running Google AdWords at the moment? A couple? A couple? Yeah, yep, he is. Okay. So I challenge you to think about, could it work for your business? This is really the most perfect advertising mechanism in the history of mankind, really, because your ad only shows up when someone is actively searching for the product or the service or the solution that you solve. So it's just really efficient, and imagine trying to run that with a magazine or whatever, saying, oh, I'm happy to put my ad in there, but I'm only going to pay for it if someone actually uses the ad. They're not going to do it, but with Google, they're happy for that. Okay, if someone clicks on that, yep, you pay for the ad, $1 or whatever it is. So if you tweak it and tune this thing right, it's just absolutely incredible. I used to make a major part of my income just buying traffic directly from Google AdWords. Back in the mid-2000s, I used to be a super affiliate and used to just buy clicks low from Google and send them straight off to affiliate pages and just make sure that I was making more money on each one and just doing that over and over and over again. But then they shut down a heap of us that did that. But yeah, so unfortunately, yeah. In 2009, I lost my Google AdWords account, my personal one, for that exact thing. But when we were doing it, it was legal at the time. They just changed the rules, and then they said, okay, now who was everyone that was doing that? And they shut down about 30,000 big marketers at the time. But yeah, so it is absolutely incredible. I've got my AdWords account back now. So ads that show at the top and the right-hand side. So here's what happens. People click your ads and they, go over to your business. Okay, so you've got multiple different parts of your ad. You've got a headline. You've got 2 lines of body text. And then you've got a display URL, which it basically is what's a pretty way you can make your web address look. And then you've got the actual URL, what's the page that you're going to send over to. If in doubt with your descriptions, your 2 lines of description, put the most impact, the sexiest benefit on the first one. The reason why is because if they see your ad on a mobile site, like on a mobile browser, it may not have the second line there. So the description line 2 doesn't always show. So it's worth, just knowing that. Okay, this concept here called relevance plus direct response, this is what I call it. This has resulted in more leads for our clients and more money for our clients than anything else that we do. So very important. If you think about Google, when they first came out in the 2000s, they weren't the only search engine in town. There was Yahoo and there was Alta Vista and a few others, okay? But how they won the search engine wars was because they focused on one thing. They focused on a word, relevance. Okay, so when other search engines like Yahoo and Alta Vista would let you bid your way to the top, pay extra to get to the top, whether or not it was relevant, Google said, you know what, that's a short-term money grab. It's not really a long-term strategic play. Those guys are just so smart, and they said, no, unless it's really relevant to what people are searching for, we're not going to show it. And that's how they won the search engine wars, because people knew if you went there, you'd always get a good relevant result. But they want that from you as an advertiser as well. And so what they're talking about here is if there's a search term, if someone types in, your ad has to be 100% relevant to that search term. And then they don't want you to send it to your homepage. They want you to send it to a page that's 100% relevant to that ad and the search term. And then what I call here direct response means, like what we spoke about with the effective website component, how do we get them, filling in our inquiry form or clicking to call, that kind of thing. So that's, really what it's about. So we need effective, product or service page, and then we add professional pay-per-click campaigns with it. So here an example where they're searching for become a yoga instructor, and then they get an ad which is directly about becoming a yoga instructor that goes off to that page. So that's that whole thing of relevance plus direct response. When they search for it, 100% relevant ad goes to a 100% relevant page all about that one thing, and it has those direct response components on there of, click to call or inquire online or whatever the primary course of action you want, so that it spits out, leads. So we spoke about AdWords. I think everyone would agree it can be amazing, but how do we make it, tweak it and tune it so that it is amazing? Because we also mentioned before about that the enemy of return on investment is waste. So think of this like an AdWords campaign is actually like a big, like a big square. But what about if we can figure out, well, all these search terms are not resulting in any leads. So what happens if we get rid of them? And then now, what about if it's not working on mobile browsers, and so we get rid of that? And then all these search terms here have too high a cost per lead, so we get rid of them. And all of a sudden, you end up with a smaller bit that's really, really profitable. Whereas most people keep it like the big bit and go, oh, it didn't work for me. But it's really about molding and shaping it so you've got a campaign that is absolutely, just incredible. So let's look at how to save money and how to optimize, our AdWords. The first thing to think about is, can we do geo-targeting? Can we think about where is the... Well, you might be able to service everyone everywhere, but what about where is the most likelihood of them turning into a customer? So maybe if it's 20 Ks around your office, so that you can actually go out and, do the whole concept of breaking bread with them, sit down and share a meal and do a consult or whatever and get them across the line. So figure out, you might not want to target the whole of New South Wales. You may want to target just 20 or 30 Ks around your office. So while Google AdWords, a lot of people think may be expensive, but what about if you were only trying to target people in that area? So you can see how you've already trimmed your costs way, way down, and you can do this on a bit of a shoestring. So that's a really, really good thing to think about. The other thing is to think about, buying intent keywords. So there's a whole bunch of search terms. Keywords and search terms are the exact same thing. There's a whole bunch of search terms that you could choose to show your ads for. But with each of them, you need to think about, if they're searching for that, what's going on in their mind? Do they have buying intent? Are they planning on taking this to the next level, or are they just researching? If they're mentioning the word free in there, if they're mentioning the word, DVD or that kind of stuff, then they may not be, have buying intent. But like here in this example where they're saying the search term is refinance home loan, so you wouldn't really type in refinance home loan unless you were thinking about refinancing your home loan. Does that make sense? So it's got buying intent. So sometimes you're better off to have a smaller list of search terms, but they're buying intent search terms. Another thing we can do to make it more efficient is to add negative keywords. So get rid of search terms that really don't help the buying process. So like if they're searching for the word free in there, or if they're mentioning the word Melbourne but you're based in Sydney, then you wouldn't really want to show up for that, even though it's very, very similar to the other search terms. So you can say, if they're using any of these words, then don't show my ad, basically, is how negative keywords work. And this is great for reducing that waste. Remember, the whole thing is, it could be a winning campaign, but we just haven't reduced enough waste yet to have a machine that can just go and spit out leads. So I'd say for most businesses, if you haven't tried AdWords, you're leaving money on the table. If you sell any kind of product or service, if it's less than $30, the product or service you sell, then it may not work out worthwhile. If it's more than $30, then I'd say, give it a nudge as a general rule. A great example would be if you're a chiropractor or a physio or whatever. You might have a page that goes off to your physiotherapy, like an ad that goes off to your physiotherapy service, but you might be running back pain ads that, when they're searching for fixed back pain, goes to an ad all about back pain and then goes them off to a page all about back pain, fixing your back pain using physio, and then has the calls to action there. So that can work well. But now we can look at how to add extensions. So these are how to make our ads bigger than everyone else's ads. Or a lot of people are now doing this, but not everyone knows how to do it. You can add more real estate onto your ad and give more chance of people clicking and ending up over to your site. So I'll show you some of the main ways we can do these extensions. The first one is what we call call extensions. Okay, so basically what you do within Google AdWords, they've got this tab called Add Extensions. And you can say, I want to add a call extension. And basically what that's doing is it's adding below your ad, it's adding a call button. So like here's an example, not a call button, it's like a call number. So here in this example, replacement sunglass lenses, see this 1-800-786-349. If they click on that, it'll call. And the other thing about it is it'll also track it as a conversion. So Google actually does some really smart stuff. They have these call tracking numbers. So you can list your phone number, but if it comes from there and they click on it to go over to your number, Google will actually divert the call off to one of their numbers. They'll track it as a conversion, and then they'll send the call over. Send the call over to you, so that that way you can track and measure, your advertising. You don't want to be doing advertising if you're not getting a return on your investment. So that's how that works. So yeah, you can use a Google forwarding number, which here basically it's saying show my ad with a Google forwarding number, and use call reporting, so that you can say yes, you know what, we got 34 people filled out our web form and reached our thank you page last month, but we also had 26 people who clicked on the phone number in our ads and called us. So, and obviously inbound phone calls from a business point of view are better than online leads, because you've got that person right then and there. It's a richer medium. Whenever you can take online people and take them offline, it's a richer medium. The best way to sell is obviously, sit down face to face, person to person. Otherwise, you can sell like in groups like this, or in webinars, that kind of thing. The phone is also very, very good. We do really, really well on the phone. So wherever you can take them from online to offline, definitely do it. Okay, so this is another way we can make our ads bigger, is site link extensions. So here it's got like a headline and a sub-headline. I'll show you what it looks like, what makes us different, our trainers, testimonials, contact us. So these might be pages that are common pages on your site that people are interested in. And so here you can see in the Nike example, they've got Jordan shoes, take flight, lift your game, shop Jordan shoes at Nike, new releases, Nike Fuel Band, women's gear. So Nike knows that these are like popular areas. So if someone's searching for Nike, they might be interested in one of those. And see how most people would just stop their ad with that bit, and they've made their ads so much bigger. And often this will only work if you're in the top 3 positions. As far as a bidding strategy goes, position 3 really is the best position to be in. Because position 1, often you can pay up to 49% extra to be in position 1. But really position 3 works out the best return on investment as a general rule from what we've seen. With Google AdWords, it's not like Facebook ads where I'd recommend just giving it a go yourself. You could test it depending on your market, but I think it's better to get it designed by a professional, to be honest, and then let it run for a few months, and if you want, you can take it over and manage it after that. But you are going to get a better result if you get it designed by a professional. I think it's just so big and there's so much to it now that but I'm really, really passionate about this area, and I think it works great. You just got to know how to do it. They've got another extension you can add, again, to make your ad bigger. Here, these call-out extensions. So, like where you're saying free shipping, 24/7 customer service, price matching. These ones aren't clickable like all the others, but what it is doing is see how you're able to put a couple, 3 or 4 extra benefits in your ad. And so you're not paying any extra, you're just being smart. They've put the tools there, you may as well use it and, make your ads bigger and bigger, as you possibly can. So that's how to add call-out extensions. It's similar to call extensions we had before, but these ones aren't clickable and the other ones are. But really, this is the key to making AdWords work, is to, prune the dead wood. I think everyone's seen the old guy, like with the roses, and he prunes it right back so far it looks like the thing would be just about dead. It's just got like one leaf left on it, and then it comes back and it's amazing, after that. And really AdWords is like that as well. You've just got to figure out everything that's either not resulting in leads or sales, or is costing you too much to get a lead or a sale, and you've got to get rid of that stuff. And Google hopes you don't do that, because they just want to, they're an amazing money machine. What they make in an hour is incredible. They're hoping you don't do that. But as, switched on business owners in this kind of environment, I'm hoping that you really, really do that, because you can stack the odds in your favor, and most people don't know how to do it. So here in this example, what we're looking at is these are all search terms, but here, if we look at conversions, which means leads, these ones have all resulted in leads. Okay, so see this is 1 and the other ones up above it will be higher. But then all these search terms here say 0, meaning that say we've been running this 3 months or whatever, those search terms, even though in theory, based on our research, they should have been legit. They should have worked. Should have worked doesn't count in AdWords. Let the data tell you. And after a while, if it's not resulting in leads, then pause it. And then you can still keep the same ad budget. What happens actually, it's a little bit like an anchor on a boat. It gets very, very exciting if you know how to do it. Say you've got a budget, you're spending, $50 a day on AdWords, okay? And then you got rid of all those you let it run for 3 months, 2 months. After a while, you got rid of all those search terms that weren't resulting in any leads, but you kept your budget the same. And then all of a sudden, the campaign, it's got much healthier stats in it because it's only got things that are resulting in leads. And all of a sudden, the campaign gets a bit of a lift. It's like it's lifted up out of the water and it just really, really starts to go, as an analogy. So this is how you can get rid of things that are not resulting in leads. But then in this example, we now need to think about, okay, well, we've got rid of everything that's not resulting in leads. What about anything that's costing too much to get a lead or costing too much to get a sale? Would it not make sense to trim those? So here in this example, I've kept anything, that was here $8 or $9 or $10 and below. So if it cost more than $10 for me to get a lead in this case, I dumped it because like this one cost $109, so it's not worth running. But here, this one's costing $8.86, $8.42, $8.32. So, keep those running. So this is another way we can mold it and shape it and make the whole thing, just so much more profitable. I hope that makes sense. With Google AdWords, unfortunately, it's a little bit like a prison. You don't want to go in a prison, right? If you go into prison on day one and you go in really, really weak and you get beaten up on day one, you're going to have a really, really bad time over the next 2 months. Does that make sense? Okay, so we use the prison mentality when, and like you could have a really, really bad time in prison, I think, over the next 2 months. Especially a pretty white boy like me. But so with this, you've actually got to set yourself, you've got to bid higher than what you think it would be. So say, for example, you estimated they were going to be $1.60 bids, $1.60 per click. You might want to go in a whole dollar higher, like $2.61 or something like that. And you're trying to bully your way to the top initially, and then you're getting a lot of people clicking on your ads. You get a good click-through rate, and then slowly you move it from $2.60 down to $2.30. You might let it run another 2 days, then move it from $2.30 down to $1.99, that kind of thing. So that's what you do with your bidding. But with your actual campaign structure, you might need to put it at, depending on what market you are, but you might need to go $25 a day or $50 a day. With AdWords, if you set a campaign and you set it at like $5 a day, it's never going to get anywhere. So you do have to, you have to be sort of stronger in your bidding. We're talking about different, browsers and that kind of thing. You might find in your marketplace that you get a lot of traffic from mobile browsers, but it's not actually converting into leads and sales. So you may choose, even though it's a lot of traffic, we're going to get rid of it, that kind of thing. So here, they don't actually really give you an easy way, but you can do a thing called a bid adjustment of minus 100%, which means that it won't show anymore. So you can do that. That's one way of doing it. So really just figuring out, all this info is within Google AdWords, and you can see, what the cost per lead was for computers and what the cost per lead was for tablets or cost per sale and what the cost per lead was, for mobile devices, and then prune whichever ones, don't make sense. Okay, we spoke about the 95% rule. So are 95% of people going to do what we want, or they're not going to do what we want? Yeah, so we need to plan for that. Okay, so we spoke about a cookie list, an anonymous follow. The same principle applies here, but in this time, they visit your website, they leave without checking out. We've put a bit of code on the website from Google, and this time, instead of them seeing your ad on Facebook, they're going to see your banner ad or some other type of ad as they navigate around the web. Because a lot of companies do ads by Google. They show Google's ads around the web. So here's an example here. where it's a corporate jet aviation company that we were working with at this time. And this is what Stephen was saying, the brand perception of it looks like you're bidding, on eBay, to put your ad on the front page of eBay. But this was just, it was just a remarketing ad. But with what I just showed you about how to make a website more effective and how to do Google AdWords and how to do, and we haven't really got into, but I'll show you a bit of Google remarketing as well. Just that together, really set this company on alight. They had to get a better phone system because they couldn't handle the number of inbound calls and stuff. And this is a corporate jet thing where the average ticket is 10 grand. So you can imagine it didn't take many converted phone calls to significantly change their numbers. So sometimes as business owners, we get excited about the next strategy, but often what it comes down to is the fundamentals and just doing the fundamentals really, really well and getting the fundamentals in place before we then move on to, other structures. So what I'm showing you here is really fundamentals. But why I call this branding and direct response is because if you've got your logo on your banners as they're going around, they're having multiple, touches with your brand, but they may also click on it because really it's about the right message for the right person, at the right time. And, I often use my wife Jules as an example there because, she loves buying stuff online, so she's a great customer, for you, so to speak. She's affluent, she's got money, and she may be your perfect customer, but if it's not the right time for her, like if it gets to 3:15 in the afternoon, she got to run out the door and pick up the kids. But then she might see your ad later on in the afternoon and click on it and come back, that kind of thing. So, it's the right message for the right person at the right time. There's actually, so 3 main types of Google display remarketing. There's another one, but it's too complex. I'm not going to go into it today. So 3 main types of Google remarketing to focus on. So the first one is like these the banner ads, and you can also do text ads. So they've hit your website, and then your banners start to show up like this, workshop software one here as they navigate around the web. So these work really, really good, especially if you can get this working in conjunction with your Facebook advertising stuff. So then they're starting to see you they've hit your website, now they're seeing you on Facebook, now they're seeing you everywhere they go around the web. A lot of people don't know about remarketing, so they won't know how you're doing that. They'll just think, we're seeing these guys everywhere, they must be massive, they must be good. So you really, really want to do that. They click on that and they go back to your site. Another one is dynamic remarketing. This is more, is anyone here doing e-commerce? Does anyone have an e-commerce store? No. This is talking about where they visit your website, your e-commerce store, and they might have been looking at your shoes category, your men's shoes category, and then they start to see these ads and Google's automatically pulling in photos of your men's shoes to put them in those squares. Has anyone seen that before when you've been shopping and then Surf Stitch do it? Yes, Surf Stitch do it, absolutely. They're very, very good marketers, those guys. So that's dynamic remarketing, but I think that's not relevant to the group, but I put that in there because I wasn't sure whether we had any e-commerce stores. And then the other one is video remarketing on YouTube. So they visited your website and now they can see your videos as they go off onto YouTube before their videos play. And this one can be very, very effective as well. And often this will win the bid auction over someone who's just paying to put it there the normal way. So that's really, really clever. So you've now seen how to make an effective website. You've seen how to do the whole relevance plus direct response thing, how to get all those Facebook strategies, all those Google strategies. You start to get all this stuff together, and really you can just create a lead machine. It can get very exciting. Very, very cool. That's pretty much it for me with what I had to share with you. So hopefully you got some good value out of that. I hope everyone learned at least 1 or 2 things you can take away. I'm the same as Stephen. We're both passionate about the same thing. Knowledge is one thing, but what we really care about is actions. So really figuring out at the end of this 2 days, what are the 1, 2, or 3 things you're going to take away and implement, and just smash it from there. So cool. Thank you very much,
big round of applause for Greg Cassar.
Excellent. Did anyone have any questions before I head off? I've got surfing lessons at Savo, which is my main. I've got the wife and the kids. We all do surfing lessons in Wollongong of a Friday arvo. So, yeah. environments like this are great where you can, there's other switched on business owners and getting, I would say referrals can work really good. So like Stephen, do you know anyone who's good in that space, or other switched on business owners in the room? I think referrals works really good. AdWords, unfortunately, it's now become this industry of, call centers calling businesses saying, oh, we noticed you don't have AdWords, or they haven't even looked at it and they say, your AdWords isn't good and we can outperform it and that kind of thing. The way I look at it is any company that's cold calling you about that you should do AdWords, they're kind of missing the point that they really should be doing AdWords themselves. And, we've never cold called anyone, you know what I mean? So if they're good in their space, they won't be contacting you. It'll be, the other way around. In theory, they should have good marketing and you looking at them and saying, wow, these guys are switched on. So there's multiple ways of getting on the front page of Google. Definitely Google AdWords is the fastest. You can set it up today and be on front page of Google today. Another one that we didn't really talk about, which is really good, is Google Places for Business. So that's where you can get listed in the Maps listing. Yeah, so he's done the Google Maps listing. Yeah, if you've done that, so anyone who hasn't gone and claimed their Maps listing from Google, Google's already knows about your business. You've just got to go, you type into Google Places for Business, and basically then it'll says, where are you at? And you tell them where your address is. If you're working from home, don't worry about it. Still tell them where your address is, but then you can tick a box to say, don't show my exact address because I work from home, that kind of thing. And then once you've claimed that listing and they'll send you a postcard out in the post. You prove that you're at that address. Once you've proven that you're at that address, then basically you'll show up in the maps. And then how you rank higher there is by having a full listing and by getting more positive reviews. So that's where asking clients, would you mind giving us a review on Google, or asking, your brother-in-law or your roommate or your roommate's dog or whoever, really just to get more reviews. But they've got to happen naturally. They can't all be, on the first day sort of thing. You can give them a link saying, oh, would you mind, say for example, Stephen was your customer and he just had a great experience with you guys. You may be able to shoot him an email back saying, oh, thanks for that, Stephen. Any chance you could help me out for 2 minutes? I'd love if you could click this link and give me a positive review on Google. Sing out if you feel uncomfortable with that, that kind of thing. And you can automate that, into your business as well. But then the other way you can really get found on Google is the, I'll come back to you in a sec, the free listings, search engine optimization. It used to be about getting all, some on-site factors and then inbound links built to your website. But now it's really just about having good natural content that Google likes and that people like. People come to, they stay on for a long time, they scroll, that kind of stuff. So it's about good natural content. There's no reason why you can't put a watermark over something, because you can add any kind of text and then you can change its transparency, so it's like half see-through.
So you can upload an image?
Yeah, you can upload images. Yeah, you can do it that way as well. Yeah, that could work too. Make it so that you're actually spending less money. But what I was saying with the campaign settings, you can't set it like Facebook where we're just going to say it's only $5. What we found is the campaign never gets any breathing room, it never gets any momentum, and Google's working in an algorithm saying, oh, well, these guys only want to spend $5 for the day, we'll show it sometimes. Whereas if you say, yep, we're only going to do this, circle around us, 20 Ks around or whatever, and we've got it set at $20 or $30 a day, it's got a bit of breathing room, and then it'll, get cranking that way. Just because you've set it as a maximum of $20 doesn't mean that they'll use it. Sometimes you could have $20 or $30 set at a campaign and it only used $8 or $9 or whatever. You're just saying that's the maximum I'm happy to spend in a day. But it really is dependent on how many people search and then click on your ad.
And once again, you got to remember, it's not a magic pill. It's not something you're going to set for 2 days and expect a result.
Yep.
It's a campaign. It's part of a strategic approach.
And prune and tweak and tune.
Yep.
Yep. All right.
Mate, not only is he rugged, handsome and a great surfer, but please give a round of applause for a very, very smart Greg Cassar.
He lies, I'm not a great surfer. All right.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. You had a massive week.
You're welcome.
So turning up this morning.
Thanks for having me, guys. Much appreciated.
Really
Cheers.
cool.